for being here. I'm going to fall apart. So I'm going to turn it over to Rob Miller. Sorry. That's all I got.
Well, I think John would be extremely grateful and extremely touched by all the effort that his sister Gretchen put into creating this wonderful tribute to him, and the celebration of his life and memory. I think it's terrific that you all are here. It's a pleasure to see all of you. I haven't met most of you. I know a lot of people from the building here, and I was a long-term childhood friend of John's. I met John a little over 40 years ago, back in high school, and I had observed him for some time prior to meeting him. He was sort of an intense, very focused guy with long hair who painted by the hour. John really stood out. While others in the art room were painting pictures of their cars and things like that, John was doing these incredible Dali-esque kind of visions with ants and things dripping up to the sky and stuff like that. And I liked him immediately. I liked him right away. And in 40 years of knowing him, I never felt, I never lost the sensation that he was one of a kind, that he was very much one of the most unique people that I've ever known. One thing that I loved about John was the way that he would take the plunge into whatever. If it was a book, he would pick it apart and festoon it with marginalia till you couldn't see the print on it. If it was a letter that he wanted to write, he would spend 3 days writing it, and when you received it, it took you 2 hours to read the meticulous little handwriting that went across 5 sheets of butcher paper. If it was a new album, he would play it constantly until he knew every syllable of it. And if it was conversation, it would go on, and it would be full of insights and outrageous metaphors and scorn and praise, and all in passionate terms. John wasn't a trained musician from a technical standpoint, but he understood music very well, and I will never forget him trying to describe a portion of The Rite of Spring, which was possibly his favorite piece of music, at least for many years. And he said, you know that part where it gets really low and it's like vultures puking. And I listened to it then, and it was these low bassoons and contrabassoons, and I've never been able to listen to it since. Seeing the vultures. And so many times I saw him take the plunge. I remember one day in La Jolla, it was a choppy day. John and I lived in Del Mar for a year together in college. And it was a choppy day with one of these offshore breezes that was blowing everything out to sea. And I watched him swim out past the breakwater in La Jolla, which is it's a thing that his ancestor, Irving Gill, built in La Jolla. And it's this beautiful curved breakwater. He swam out past it, far out into the swell. And he was fighting it, and I watched this little black wetsuit bobbing up and down, and I didn't know if he was going to be able to fight his way back in. And after a few minutes, I ran up to the lifeguard tower, and I said, "Is that black spot out there? That's my buddy out there." And the lifeguards both had their binoculars on him already, and they said, "Well, he looks okay. He's fighting it. He looks okay." And 5 seconds later, one of them grabbed the pontoon and went running down to the end of the breakwater and stood there and watched John from the closest point he could get to, and John fought his way in with one flipper, and it took him forever, it seemed, and he came up on the beach. He finally, to my relief, dragged himself up, and he was exhausted and he was exhilarated, and he panted for a minute, and then he said, "I was really getting beat up out there." And then he said, "But Robbie, it was amazing." He talked about the color of the seagrass, the green of the seagrass. It was just amazing. Fish. I think if you made one of those weighted lists of all the words that ever came out of John's mouth in his lifetime, where the frequency of each word is registered by the size of the word, there'd be well, first you'd have to eliminate the few colorful profanities, and then there would be a few big words like Hawaii, Beethoven, and rare steak, and then I think it would be amazing. He said that word in such a profound way, so full of conviction, that he really was amazed, and you felt amazed too by whatever it was. And so you like spending time with John. The more time I spent with him, the more I saw, the more I appreciated, the more I laughed, the more I thought, and the more I shared that amazement. And so, John, my friend, here's to you. You were amazing.